The shotgun blast echoed through the cornfields like God's own thunder, shattering the fragile peace of Willow Creek, Iowa, on what was supposed to be the happiest day of Michael Harlan's life. "You think this is a wedding? This here's a goddamn funeral for everything decent," bellowed Old Man Hargrove from his porch, his voice cracking like the rifle's report, as confetti turned to ash in the autumn wind. Michael froze mid-vow, his hand trembling in William's, the ring slipping from sweat-slick fingers, while the town's eyes, neighbors, kin, strangers, burned into them like brands from hellfire. It hadn't always been this way. Michael remembered the first time he saw William Ellis, a lanky kid with sun-bleached hair and a laugh that cut through the humid haze of a county fair like a cool Midwestern breeze. It was 2008, the year Obama swept in on promises of change, and Michael was 18, fresh out of high school, slinging hay bales on his family's farm to escape the suffocating grip of his father's expectations. Willow Creek was the kind of town where Sundays meant church steeples piercing the sky and whispers about those city folk, ruining everything pure. Gays? They were fairy tales from Chicago, not flesh-and-blood boys stealing glances over blue-ribbon pies. William had rolled into town with his beat-up Ford pickup, hauling equipment for the traveling carnival that set up on the edge of the fairgrounds. He was 20, with calloused hands from rigging rides and eyes the color of storm clouds over the Mississippi. Michael spotted him first, wrestling a Ferris wheel panel into place, muscles straining under a faded Metallica tee. Their eyes met when Michael handed over a thermos of lemonade, courtesy of his ma, who insisted on Southern hospitality, even if they were smack in the heartland. "Thanks, man," William said, his voice low and gravelly, like he'd smoked one too many Marlboros under starlit Nebraska skies. Michael's heart stuttered, a forbidden rhythm he'd only ever felt alone in the barn loft, palms pressed against rough wood as he imagined touches he could never name. That night, under the kaleidoscope of carnival lights, they shared a stolen joint behind the cotton candy stand. William's knee brushed Michael's, accidental at first, then deliberate. "You ever feel like you're drowning in plain sight?" William asked, exhaling smoke toward the stars. Michael nodded, words failing him, but his fingers found William's in the dark, intertwining like roots seeking soil. They kissed there, tentative and fierce, tasting of cheap beer and rebellion. It was the spark that ignited everything, their secret world amid the creak of rusted rides and the distant twang of country tunes. For years, they built a life in shadows. Michael took over the farm after his pa's heart attack in 12, trading dreams of art school for dawn-to-dusk labor, his sketches of William's profile hidden in a cigar box under the floorboards. William stayed on, fixing tractors and wiring barns for extra cash, his carnival days a fading memory. They lived in the old foreman's cottage on the Harlan Spread, a mile from Michael's family home, where nosy eyes couldn't pry. Dinners were candlelit apologies for stolen moments, quick fumbles in the pickup after church, whispered, "I love yous" before William slipped out the back door at dawn. But love, in a town like Willow Creek, was a weed that grew wild and dangerous. By 2015, when the Supreme Court handed down Obergefell v. Hodges, the air shifted. Marriage equality rippled through the heartland like a shockwave, and Michael, thumbing through the Des Moines Register at the diner, felt a crack in the dam. "We could do it," he said that night, tracing William's jawline with a callous thumb. "Make it real." Rings and vows and all, William's eyes darkened, not with doubt, but with the weight of what it meant. "You sure, Mikey? This ain't New York." Folks here still clutched their Bibles like grenades. They were sure. Or at least, Michael was, fueled by a fire that had smoldered too long. William, ever the pragmatist, worried about the blowback, but love made fools of them both. They filed the paperwork in the county courthouse, hands shaking as the clerk, a stern woman with a cross necklace, stamped it without a word. Word spread like prairie fire. First, it was murmurs. Harlan boy and that drifter? Lord have mercy. Then invitations went out, 50 of them, to the brave souls who'd shown glimmers of kindness over the years. Ma Harlan baked the cake herself. 3 tiers of vanilla sponge with buttercream roses, whispering prayers into the batter. Pa's grave got fresh flowers. Michael hoped his old man's ghost might finally rest easy. The wedding was set for October 15th, 2025, a crisp fall day when leaves turned the town into a postcard of red and gold. The ceremony would be in the town square, under the ancient oak where kids carved hearts into bark. Reverend Ellis, no relation to William, thank God, agreed to officiate after a tense phone call, his voice steady. Love is love, son. God's got room for all. Guests trickled in, a few cousins, the diner waitress who'd comped their coffee for years, even Hargrove's wife, who baked lemon bars despite her husband's rants. Michael stood in front of the mirror that morning, tuxedo borrowed from a cousin in Des Moines, his reflection a stranger, tall, broad-shouldered, with laugh lines etching his hazel eyes. You look like a movie star, William said from the doorway, his own suit hugging his frame like it was made for sin. As they walked down Main Street arm in arm, the town held its breath. Balloons bobbed from lampposts, and a string quartet hired from Iowa City played Pachelbel's canon on folding chairs. Cheers erupted from the cluster of supporters, a rainbow flag fluttering defiantly in the breeze. Michael's ma dabbed her eyes with a lace hanky, her floral dress a splash of color against the muted grays of the crowd. William squeezed his hand, murmuring, "We're doing this, babe. For real." The vows came easy, words polished over late-night talks, promises of fields tilled together, storms weathered side by side, a life stitched from stolen threads. Then the shot rang out. Hargrove, red-faced and wild-eyed, lowered the rifle not loaded with bullets. Thank Christ, just blanks to scare the devil, and spat his curse. The square erupted. Gasps, shouts, a few brave souls stepping forward to shield the grooms. But the damage was done. Michael's world tilted, the oak's branches blurring as William pulled him close, their bodies a bulwark against the storm. It's a funeral, Hargrove roared again, echoed by a handful of diehards clutching signs scrawled with scripture. Burying the soul of this town. Chaos swallowed the celebration, cake toppled, chairs scattered, the quartet fleeing mid-note. In the aftermath, as deputies hauled Hargrove away in cuffs, Michael and William retreated to the cottage, the untouched reception a ghost in their rearview. Blood trickled from Michael's lip where a flung bottle had grazed him. William bandaged it with steady hands, but his eyes, those storm cloud eyes, held a fracture. Was it worth it? Michael whispered, voice raw. William cupped his face, thumb brushing the bruise. Every damn second, but deep down, in the quiet that followed, doubt crept in like fog off the fields, a whisper that their love, hard-won and holy, might yet be the death of something sacred. The days blurred into a haze of fallout, Willow Creek's fault lines cracking wide under the weight of one blank round. Michael's ma showed up at dawn the next morning, her Ford Taurus crunching gravel in the drive, arms laden with Tupperware of pot roast and her Bible, dog-eared at Leviticus, Oh, Mikey, she sighed, pulling him into a hug that smelled of lavender soap and regret. Your pa would have hated this fuss, but he'd have loved you fierce. Lies, maybe, but the kind that stitched wounds. William hovered in the kitchen, brewing coffee strong enough to wake the dead, his silence a shield against her probing gaze. By noon, the phone rang off the hook, reporters from Des Moines sniffing for a Heartland scandal, cousins offering half-hearted apologies laced with, "But you knew how folks are." Reverend Ellis stopped by with a bottle of bourbon and a sermon on forgiveness, his gravelly voice steady. "David and Jonathan, boys, the Bible's got room for warriors like you." They drank deep that night, the three of them sprawled on the sagging porch swing, stars wheeling overhead like indifferent witnesses. William's head found Michael's shoulder, a quiet anchor, but the betrayal gnawed. Hargrove wasn't just some crank. He was Michael's old little league coach, the man who'd taught him to swing a bat and pray for rain. Betrayal had roots deeper than that shot, though. It started weeks earlier, in the planning frenzy, when Michael's cousin Tommy, boisterous Tommy with the beer gut and the used car lot, volunteered to handle the sound system. "Leave it to me, 'cause," he'd grinned, clapping Michael on the back hard enough to bruise. Tommy had always been the golden boy, the one who got the farm's best acres when Pa divvied up the will, the one who whispered "faggot" under his breath at family barbecues but smiled like butter wouldn't melt. Michael overlooked it, chalking it up to small-town bluster, but William saw clearer. "He's got that look," he'd said one night, tracing circles on Michael's chest in the dark. "Like he's measuring you for a noose." Tommy's setup was flawless, speakers humming with Mendelssohn as the grooms approached the altar, but it was his offhand comment to a reporter, caught on a hot mic outside the florist's, that lit the fuse. "Yeah, it's cute and all, but in a town like this, might as well be waving a red flag at a bull." The clip went viral by midnight, shared in church basements and barstools, fanning Hargrove's rage from simmer to blaze. When Michael confronted him later that week, Tommy's face crumpled like wet cardboard. "I didn't mean it like that, Mikey. Just talking truth. You know how Dad feels. Hell, the whole family's walking on eggshells, 'cause of you too." Family. The word tasted like ash. Michael's sister, Laura, had driven in from Dubuque with her husband and toddlers, her hugs genuine but her eyes darting to the shadows, as if expecting lightning to strike the square. She'd pulled Michael aside pre-ceremony, her voice a frantic whisper, "Promise me you'll keep it low-key after." The kids. They hear things at school. William, overhearing from the sidelines, had stiffened, his jaw a hard line. Later, in the truck on the way back, he'd exploded. "Low-key? Like we're some dirty secret? I didn't sign up for this half-life." "Michael." The fight spilled into the cottage like oil on water. Accusations flying, doors slamming, William storming out to sleep in the barn, the horses his only company. Morning brought regret, as it always did. Michael found him currying the mare's coat, straw dust motes dancing in sunbeams like fireflies. "I'm sorry," Michael said, voice thick. "It's not you. It's this place. Sucks the air right out of you." William turned, his face etched with exhaustion, and pulled him close, their foreheads touching in that wordless way that said more than sonnets. "I know, babe. But we can't keep apologizing for breathing." They made love there on a bed of hay, slow and desperate, reclaiming what the town tried to steal. It was romantic in its rawness, the scratch of pitchforks against wood, the scent of earth and sweat mingling like a vow renewed. But the drama simmered, bubbling up in unexpected places. At the feed store, old-timers who'd tipped hats for years now crossed the street, muttering about sodomites ruining the harvest. The local paper ran a front-page spread, Willow Creek's first same-sex union, unity or division, with a photo of the toppled cake, Hargrove's silhouette looming like a specter. William took it hardest, his carnival drifter's soul chafing against the cage of judgment. He started sketching escape routes, jobs in Des Moines, maybe a fresh start in the cities where rainbow flags flew free. "We could go," he said one evening, maps spread across the kitchen table like battle plans. Michael traced the lines with his finger, heart twisting. "And leave Ma? The farm? This is home. Will. Home." The word hung between them, a fragile bridge over chasms of doubt. Nights grew longer, filled with what-ifs whispered into pillows. Michael's dreams turned feverish, Pa rising from the grave, shotgun in hand, eyes blazing accusation. William walking away down an endless dirt road, fading into dust. He'd wake gasping, William's arms pulling him back, murmuring nonsense about forever. But forever felt like a lie when Tommy showed up unannounced one rainy afternoon, soaked to the bone, a six-pack dangling from his fist like an olive branch. "Look, I fucked up," Tommy slurred, collapsing onto the couch. "That Mike thing? I was buzzed, talking shit. But Hargrove, he came by the lot yesterday, riled up like a hornet. Said he'd make sure everyone knew what you were." Michael's blood ran cold. Hargrove, with his Vietnam scars and NRA stickers, wasn't one for bluster alone. William, leaning against the doorframe, crossed his arms. "And you just let him?" Stirred the pot and walked away. Tommy's eyes welled, a rare crack in the bravado. "Family sticks, right? Blood's thicker. But blood," Michael knew, could curdle. The confrontation escalated when Tommy let slip the real betrayal. He'd leaked their invitation list to Hargrove's prayer group, just to gauge the waters, he'd claimed. Water turned to flood, protesters swelling from a dozen to 50 overnight. William's face went white as bone. He grabbed his keys, storming out into the downpour. Michael chased him, barefoot and furious, tackling him against the truck. "You don't get to run. Not from this, not from us." They fought in the mud, fists more plea than punch, until exhaustion dropped them to their knees. Rain washed the grime away, leaving only raw truth. Love demanded sacrifice, and Willow Creek exacted its toll. As the storm broke, a sliver of moon pierced the clouds, casting silver on their entwined forms. "I can't lose you," Michael breathed, lips brushing William's temple. "Then fight for me," William replied, voice breaking. "Fight for us." It was a turning point, that mud-soaked pact, the spark of resolve amid the deluge. But shadows lengthened, Hargrove's trial loomed, and whispers of deeper threats circled like coyotes. The town that celebrated them now circled for the kill, and Michael wondered if their funeral had already begun. Winter clamped down on Willow Creek like a vice, snow blanketing the fields in a deceptive hush that masked the town's festering wounds. Michael's farm became a fortress, the cottage's windows taped against prying eyes, but isolation bred its own poisons. William threw himself into work, reinforcing silos, welding fences, his hands busy to keep his mind from unraveling. Nights, though, were battlegrounds of emotion. Arguments flaring over dinner about selling the land, dreams deferred, the ache of unlived lives. "We could have had kids," William said once, voice hollow, staring at the frost-laced pane. "Adopted, maybe. A family that looked like us." Michael pulled him close, but the words lingered, a ghost at their table. The betrayal deepened when Laura called, her voice trembling over the line. Tommy's spreading lies. Mikey says you're forcing Will into this. That it's some phase you'll snap out of. Michael's grip tightened on the receiver, knuckles white. Tommy, ever the puppeteer, had twisted the narrative, painting Michael as the seducer, William the victim, all to salve his own guilt. It hit the prayer chain like gospel, fueling sermons that painted their union as a contagion. Reverend Ellis fought back from the pulpit. His Sunday firebrand, "Judge not, lest ye be judged. These men love pure as any before God." But seeds sown in fear took root fast. Pews emptied. Donations dried. Romance flickered in the cracks, defiant as dandelions through concrete. On a rare, clear night, William surprised Michael with a drive to the bluffs overlooking the frozen river, thermos of spiked cider in hand. They bundled in quilts stolen from Ma's linen closet, bodies pressed close against the chill. "Remember our first winter?" William murmured, breath fogging the air. Michael chuckled, the sound rusty. "You tried ice fishing." Nearly drowned in 3 inches of slush. Laughter built to kisses, slow and heated, hands rediscovering paths worn familiar. Under the Milky Way's sprawl, they made promises anew, not of perfection, but persistence. "You're my horizon," Michael said, tracing constellations on William's skin. No matter the storm, but drama shadowed even stolen joy. Hargrove's trial dominated the county courthouse, a spectacle of faded flags and murmured prayers. Michael testified first, voice steady as he recounted the blank's whistle past his ear, the venom in Hargrove's eyes. "It wasn't just noise, Your Honor. It was a declaration of war." The prosecutor nodded, but the defense painted Hargrove as a patriot, defending traditional values against moral decay. William took the stand next, his testimony a quiet thunder. "I've loved Michael since I was a boy chasing lights. That shot, it tried to kill more than a moment, it aimed for our souls." The courtroom held its breath, but outside, protesters swelled, signs bobbing like buoys in a sea of hate. "One man, one woman, and repent or perish." Tommy lurked in the back row, his presence a thorn. After adjournment, he cornered Michael in the hall, sweat beading on his brow. "I didn't start this, 'cause Hargrove's unhinged. Came at me with a tire iron last week, ranting about your devil wedding, lies layered on deceit." But Michael's got twisted. Tommy's eyes darted like a cornered fox. That night, over whiskey at the kitchen table, he confessed the depths. He'd pocketed wedding gifts, cash envelopes from sympathetic aunts, funneling them to debts, but really lining his lot's coffers. "It was easy money," Tommy shrugged, shame flickering. "You were too busy playing house." Rage boiled over. Michael lunged, fists connecting with Tommy's jaw in a crack that echoed family fractures. William pulled him off, but the damage was visceral, blood on the linoleum, a cousin's nose broken like trust. "Get out," Michael growled. "And don't come back till you find a spine." Tommy slunk away, but his parting shot lingered. "This town's gonna eat you alive. Blood or not, you're dead to us." The words haunted, prophecy in the wind. Climax brewed as spring thawed the ground, mud sucking at boots like reluctant goodbyes. Anonymous letters arrived, Bible verses scorched at the edges, tires slashed on William's truck, a dead crow on the porch with abomination carved into its breast. Fear coiled tight. Michael installed cameras, William a Glock under the pillow. Romance strained under siege. Intimacies hurried. I scanning shadows. Yet in quiet hours, emotion deepened. William's sketches of their dreamed home, a craftsman in the suburbs, garden bursting with tomatoes, pinned to the fridge like talismans. The breaking point came on a muggy May evening, the air thick with lilac and menace. They hosted a small gathering Reverend Ellis, a handful of allies to reclaim normalcy, grilling burgers on the back patio. Laughter flowed tentative, beers clinking like fragile peace. Then headlights pierced the dusk, a convoy of pickups, Hargrove's cronies, engines rumbling like thunder. They encircled the yard, headlights blinding, horns blaring a cacophony of hate. Funeral procession, one yelled, tossing eggs that splattered like accusations. Chaos erupted, guests scattering, Ma clutching her rosary, William shoving Michael behind the grill as bottles flew. Michael broke free, charging the line, heart-pounding fury. This is our home, our life. A burly man, face obscured by a bandana, swung a bat, connecting with Michael's ribs in a sickening thud. Pain exploded, but William was there, tackling the attacker, fists flying in a blur of protective rage. The brawl spilled into the yard, deputies arriving too late, sirens wailing like mourners. As the dust settled, Michael lay gasping in William's arms, blood mingling with dirt, the grill's embers dying like hopes. "It's over," William whispered, tears carving tracks down his face. "We can't stay." But over was a lie. It was rebirth's brutal edge. In the ER's sterile hum, stitched and bandaged, Michael gripped William's hand. "Then we go." Together, the decision crystallized, humanistic in its ache. Not defeat, but evolution. Ma nodded from the doorway, her silence assent. Reverend Ellis prayed over them, words weaving grace from wreckage. Tommy? He vanished. Lot shuddered. Rumors of a hasty move to Omaha. Betrayal's sting faded against resolve's forge. As summer scorched the fields, they packed the cottage, boxes labeled Des Moines like exiles' manifestos. Final nights were laced with memory. Slow dances in the empty living room to Springsteen's Thunder Road, bodies swaying to rhythms of what was and what would be. "You saved me," Michael said, nuzzling William's neck. "No," William replied, voice thick. "We saved each other." Dawn broke on their departure, the farm shrinking in the rearview, Willow Creek a chapter closed in blood and bloom. Des Moines welcomed them with urban sprawl and indifferent bustle, a far cry from corn-swept silences. They rented a second-floor walk-up in the East Village, brick walls echoing with possibility, exposed beams, a balcony overlooking brewpubs and bike paths. Michael found work at a co-op, managing organic plots that felt like therapy, dirt under nails a balm for scarred hands. William, ever adaptable, landed a gig wiring lofts for a developer, his truck now navigating traffic instead of backroads. Mornings started with coffee on the balcony, feet tangled under a flea market table, planning grocery runs like grand adventures, yet transplanting roots unearthed old soils. Michael's nightmares persisted, Hargrove's blank echoing in traffic horns, Tommy's leer in strangers' stares. Therapy helped. A queer counselor named Javier with a noble shit drawl, unpacking the trauma in sessions that left Michael wrung out but lighter. "You're not the villain in your own story," Javier said, handing him a tissue. William attended too, their joint sessions a ritual of vulnerability, admitting fears of inadequacy, resentments unspoken. "I worried you'd wake up one day and choose easy," William confessed once, eyes downcast. Michael cupped his chin. Fierce, easy's a cage. You're my wild. Romance reignited in the city's pulse. Date nights at dive bars with drag shows that howled liberation. Picnics in Papajohn's Sculpture Park where they traced each other's scars under abstract steel. One evening, amid Gary's curves, William dropped to one knee. Not with rings anew, but a keychain etched Harlan Ellis forever. Second vows, he grinned, pulling Michael into a kiss that tasted of freedom. They laughed through tears, the city's hum a chorus to their joy. Sex followed in their loft, unhurried and electric, bodies mapping new territories, William's tongue tracing the rib bruise's faded line, Michael's hands worshipping the breadth of William's back. Drama, though, was a shadow stitched to their hems. News from Willow Creek trickled in like poison ivy. Hargrove sentenced to probation, his scare tactic deemed misdemeanor mischief. Tommy's lot foreclosed, whispers of embezzlement tying back to those pilfered gifts. Ma called weakly, her voice a lifeline laced with ache. Town's quieter without you, but the square. They planted a garden there. In your honor, bittersweet blooms. Laura sent photos of the kids drawing rainbows, her apology letter arriving like rain after drought. I was scared, Mikey, of losing the family we had. But blood's what we make it. Conflict crested when William's ex from Carnival Days resurfaced. Jax, a tattooed firecracker with a grin like trouble, now slinging drinks in a West Des Moines gay bar. They bumped into him at a Pride mixer, Jax's hug lingering too long, his eyes raking William with old hunger. Missed you. Road dog, Jax purred, oblivious to Michael's stiffening. Later, in the truck, jealousy flared, Michael's accusations sharp. You light up around him. Like I'm the safe bet, not the fire. William slammed on brakes at a red light, turning with storm eyes. Safe? I left everything for you. Jax was chaos, fucks and fights. You're home, Michael. My goddamn North Star. The fight festered. Days of cold silences broken by slammed doors. William crashed at a buddy's, the loft echoing with absence. Michael wandered the farmer's market alone, bargaining for heirloom tomatoes that mocked his solitude. Emotion peaked in a midnight voicemail. William's voice, raw and ragged. I hate this. Hate that one ghost makes me doubt us. Come get me? Michael did, speeding through rain-slick streets, pulling William into the truck like a lifeline. They talked till dawn in a Waffle House booth, pancakes congealing as truth spilled. William's fear of stagnation, Michael's terror of abandonment. Betrayal taught me vigilance, Michael admitted. But love demands trust. They drove home entwined, hands linked over the gearshift, forgiveness a quiet dawn. Humanism wove through their reinvention, volunteering at a youth center for LGBTQ plus kids, sharing stories of Willow Creek's thorns and triumphs. One boy, 16 and wide-eyed, reminded Michael of his younger self. How'd you know it was worth the pain? William fielded it, his drifter's wisdom shining. Because pain's just the soil. Love's what grows. They mentored, advocated, turning scars to signposts. Ma visited once, tentative steps into their world, oohing over the loft, tearing up at a drag brunch. Your pa would have come around, she said, squeezing their hands. In time, it was enough, that fragile bridge. Yet climax loomed in summer swelter, callback to roots. A documentary crew from PBS contacted them, Heartland Hymns, Love in the Flyover, wanting their story for a special on rural queer resilience. Flattered but wary, they agreed, filming in the loft and a staged return to Willow Creek Square. The garden bloomed defiant, roses and lavender encircling a plaque. In memory of unity, October 15th, 2025. But tension crackled. Locals gathered, some cheering, others heckling from afar. Hargrove watched from his porch, gaunt and gray, no apology in his stare. The betrayal's echo struck during the shoot. Tommy, clean-shaven and contrite, ambushed them outside the diner. Heard about the film. Thought I'd make amends. He handed over a check, restitution for the gifts, interest accrued like penance. Michael pocketed it, but words cut deeper. Amends? You lit the match. Tommy's face crumpled. I was jealous. Okay, of your guts. My life's a mess. Wife left, debts piling. You two, you're legends. William, softer-hearted, clapped his shoulder. Legends bleed too. Fix your own house first. The crew captured it raw, the confrontation under neon signs, emotions unscripted. Back in Des Moines, editing montages played on their laptop. Vows intercut with the shot's echo. Garden blooms fading to loft sunrises. Airing drew backlash, hate mail, but also letters of thanks from hidden Heartlanders. One from Reverend Ellis. You showed us grace in the gale. Romance deepened post-broadcast. Fans sent cards, but their private world held sacred. Anniversary in the Bluffs. Rings exchanged anew under the same stars. As leaves turned again, conflict resolved in quiet victories. Michael's co-op expanded, William's boss offering partnership. Betrayal's ghosts faded, replaced by futures sketched in shared breaths. We're the first of many, Michael said one night, body spent and sated. William smiled, tracing his ring. And the last to break. October rolled back around, a year since the blank's crack, and Willow Creek called like a siren song. Ma's 60th birthday, a harvest festival laced with nostalgia. They debated the drive. Too soon? Too raw? But roots tugged insistent. And forgiveness, that humanistic grace, whispered go. The truck hummed south on I-35. Williams' playlist a mix of Johnny Cash laments and queer anthems. Ring of Fire, bleeding into Born This Way. Michael reached for his hand at every mile marker, anchoring against the pull of what-ifs. Town greeted them warily. The square's garden a riot of mums, the plaque polished to gleam. Ma enveloped them in hugs at the farmhouse, her kitchen redolent of apple pie and relief. My boys, she beamed. No qualifiers. Laura hovered, kids shy but curious, tugging William's sleeve for tractor rides. The festival swirled around them, booths hawking fudge and quilts, a brass band oomping under tents. Neighbors nodded, some bold with handshakes, saw the dock. Proud of you, fellas. Others averted eyes, but the air felt lighter, judgment's weight lifted by time's slow alchemy. Drama ignited at dusk, bonfire crackling in the fairground's shadow. Hargrove emerged from the crowd, bottle in hand, his once bellowing frame shrunken by chemo's cruel hand. Cancer, stage 4 whispers had hinted, but seeing it gutted Michael. The old man cornered them by the cider press, eyes milky with regret. Didn't come to fight, he rasped, voice a wheeze. Came to say, that shot killed me first. Woke up nights, seeing your faces. God forgive a fool like me. William tensed, but Michael stepped forward, heart a tumult. Forgiveness ain't cheap, coach. But it's free if you mean it. Words tumbled then, Hargrove's confessions. A son lost to AIDS in the 90s, Unspoken grief fueling his rage. Vietnam ghost screaming in silence. Thought hating you kept me pure. Turns out, it just made me empty. Tears carved rivulets down weathered cheeks. And Michael, against every scar, pulled him into an embrace. William joined, a triad of fractured men under harvest moon. The bonfire spat embers skyward, witnesses to absolution's fragile flame. No funeral, Michael murmured. Just new dirt for growing. Betrayal's final thread unraveled with Tommy's arrival. Uninvited but inevitable. He sidled up post-Hargrove. Face gaunt, a duffel at his feet. Sold the lot. Moving west, California, maybe. Figured I'd say goodbye proper. No bluster now, just a man stripped bare. He handed over farm deeds, his share, gifted back. Should have been yours from the start. I was the thief, not you. Michael searched his eyes, finding not deceit, but dawning light. Road's long, Tommy. Don't waste it hating yourself. They clasped hands. Blood's bond reforged in mercy. A brother's redemption, humanistic and hard-won. The night deepened into revelry. Dances around the fire, Ma twirling with William to Sweet Caroline, her laughter pealing like bells. Michael watched, chest full, as kids chased fireflies, their innocence a balm. Later, alone in the cottage, reclaimed for the weekend, they made love with years' worth of longing. Slow explorations, gasps echoing off walls that held their history. This place doesn't own us anymore, William whispered, bent and serene. We own the story. Dawn painted the fields gold, a canvas for tomorrows. Back in Des Moines, life bloomed fuller. Michael's sketches exhibited at a local gallery, William proposing a joint venture, a rural outreach nonprofit, bridging heartland divides with workshops on love's spectrum. Ma visited monthly, her Bible now annotated with affirming verses. Hargrove wrote letters from hospice, frail scrawls of gratitude. His passing in December brought quiet closure, a service where Michael spoke of Grace's long arc. Tommy, postcards from L.A., tales of sobriety and second chances, cousin reborn. Climax's echo faded into romance's steady hum. Anniversaries marked with road trips, bluffs and beaches alike. Quiet evenings crafting potlucks for the center, feeding bodies and souls. Emotion wove deep, William's quiet, I do renewed on a snowy solstice, rings glinting in candlelight. Conflict, mere ripples now, navigated with tools forged in fire, communication's blade, empathy's shield. In the end, their tale was no elegy, but hymn, a humanistic ode to love's tenacity in America's vast, varied heart. Willow Creek's first gay marriage wasn't buried. It seeded gardens, cracked stones, bloomed in unexpected soils. Michael and William, hands linked across dinner tables and lifetimes, knew the truth. Funerals were for endings, but theirs was a wedding eternal, celebrated in every defiant heartbeat. As snow fell soft on the loft's balcony that Christmas, William pulled Michael close, breath mingling in frost-kissed air. To us, he toasted with mulled wine. The survivors, Michael smiled, eyes on the city's glow. To more. Always more, and in that promise, the world felt whole, romantic, raw, relentlessly alive.